Yeah, hello everyone. Today we're going to start and we're going to have this webinar for building a successful career in data science, machine learning, and AI. How do we plan multiple things? What are the things we need to take care of? Different action points, the key factors for a career path that you can define and eventually have a great successful career in data science, machine learning, and AI. Okay, so let's begin. The topics for discussion for today's webinar would be, what do you aspire to be, right? We're going to answer questions about what do you really want to be, because there are so many roles that are currently related to the data. I mean, data science roles have been expanded by huge margins. You have data engineering, data management, cloud database management, machine learning operations, data science, machine learning engineer, artificial intelligence engineer, applied AI researcher, and multiple different roles. So we need to first try and understand what is it that we have to build, right? What is it that we have to think about and plan of what we want to be? The second is, for each kind of roles, we're going to discuss the key requirements. What is the initial push that you have to go through? What is the initial activity that you have to start so that you can be eligible for an entry-level role, right? Once you've decided the role and the entry-level requirements, then you start with kickstarting your journey. One second. Are we live on YouTube, Saurabh? We have to go. I have to click on the come on YouTube thing or not? Just let me know. Okay. So once you've decided the role we want to have, the key factors, requirements for the role, we then move to kickstarting our journey. How do we start with the first step? What institutes to join, what chapters to read about, what topics to excel in, what projects to do, all those other things. Then we'll move for tools, right? The entry level tools. Do you need MongoDB, SQL? Do you need AWS, Google Cloud Platform, Python or R or Julia, all the different languages? Then coming to joining a full-fledged program, why is it advantageous for any starting people in the data science field? If you want to get started, you definitely should go ahead. And why would you need a full-fledged program? Then we'll talk about fast tracking your learning, what content to read online, what articles to go through, what books to view, what videos to watch, what platforms to be in touch with, get updated, all of those. Then we'll talk about a very, very important section, which is the reading documentation. Documentation reading is fundamentally a very essential skill for anyone who wants to exploit the available content online. There's lots of practitioners of data science, experienced professionals who've built the code, who've built the libraries and packages that we can use for free, right? How do we use those packages and their written documentations? That's what we're going to go through with an example also. And then we are also going to find the core areas of applications. So there's computer vision, there's natural language processing, there is deep learning, there is robotics, there is blockchain, all of those individual aspects. And finally, we are going to learn about developing a personal brand, key focus areas for ourselves, going on LinkedIn, connecting with industry experts, going to other kinds of conferences, webinars, etc. And finally, the last step, which is an advanced level. Once you have got an entry level job, once you've done a 1.5 years or 2 years experience, what is the next step? How do you grow in your career from that point? Because now you're a data scientist at an established MNC, right? What is the next step? So that is where we are trying to become a full stack machine learning engineer or developer, where we'll move from machine learning, which is the algorithm part, to ML ops, where we learn about deployment of the models we build on online platforms, which the customers and clients can use, right? We'll also move from data to big data. Okay, should we start? Let's go to the next slide. Right. So what do you aspire to be? This is a very, very important, and I would say critical question, because this will define how you start with your journey. Let me give you a quick example. Suppose you want to become a data analyst, okay? And on the other hand, someone wants to become a business analyst, right? How are these two different? A data analyst will do the analysis of data with data in mind. A business analyst would do an analysis with the business in mind. You got to have some kind of proficiency or knowledge or experience of the business whose data you are trying to analyze. Suppose if you work for finance domain, then you could be a finance business analyst. If you're working in healthcare, you could analyze healthcare data differently, right? A person who's not from a particular domain and tries to analyze that data, it will be difficult for them to get into the field because they do not know the business. They do not know what questions to ask from the data and how to use that data in the best, most efficient way, right? Similarly, data engineering. What is data engineering? For large cloud platforms, for example, Facebook or Google, right? They have huge data sets. They have large data sets in their databases, right? So when a machine learning engineer wants to build a model on them, a very tricky and a long process is for him to get the relevant data on which he builds the models, right? That is where a data engineer comes in and builds something known as the pipeline. A pipeline to streamline the process of getting the data from the databases to the endpoint for the machine learning engineer to build models from, right? Big data developers, they work on distributed networks, distributed cloud platforms, data management, right? There is a transaction database, there is a revenue database, there is a marketing database, there's a discount database, there is a customer database, multiple databases that need to be active and online all the time. Who manages these databases? These are the database managers. Data scientists, it's a combination of all. They know about data, they know about analysis, they know about visualization, they know about modeling, right? Then there's machine learning engineer, which is specifically a machine learning focused engineer, right? They are only building great models, right? They have expertise in building different models, linear models, non-linear models, ensemble models, tree-based models, neural networks, all of those. ML ops engineers are the ones that are transforming the model into a software side of things so that this model can be used online, right? So it's a combination of backend development, people who write the code for the systems, for the servers in the background. Then there is front end for people who write the code for the website, the way the page looks to the user. And the combination of backend, front end, and machine learning is called the ML ops engineering, right? So you have to know some amount of software development, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, there is the AI scientist, which is basically focused on high-end advanced ML models, right? For example, neural networks, reinforcement learning, computer vision, natural language processing, all the highly research-focused areas and state-of-the-art models that you want to build, right? Once you choose amongst these, you need to decide if you want to be in the technical background, right? Do you want to program every day? Do you love programming or not? Are you from a non-technical background? You've not done engineering. Let's say you've done a administration role, MBA role, right? Or you've done a BBA or a BCom. You've done a master's in statistics, right? So you're not primarily from a technical programming background, right? So for you to be very advanced in programming will be difficult, right? So you should choose your domain accordingly. You should choose your field of what you want to work with data with accordingly, right? Finally, do you have an expertise in a domain? Because it's going to be very easy for you to get an entry-level job or build a successful career if your bachelor's is in the domain in which you are working, right? For example, if you are working with a national bank, right? You are building a data science system or data science tool for a national bank. It would be great if you have an experience of managing a bank in historically, right? If you have a domain expertise of banking and financial sector, right? The finance sector in general, because you have a higher learning of the domain. You just don't know the data side, you also know the domain side. So it is a very big plus if your domain and the company that you're applying to match, right? You can do a data science job, but you also understand the domain much better, right? The domain can be marketing, finance, supply chain, material sciences, biotechnology, banking, healthcare, and a lot of that, right? Then you can also choose between the factors of designing systems, right? Do you want to design algorithms, new machine learning models? Do you want to apply them for real use cases for organizations, MNCs? Or do you want to do more research? You want to do a PhD in data science? A lot of students, a lot of professionals are paid to do AI research today, right? For foreign colleges like Stanford, Harvard, Wharton, different colleges, they are actually paying grants to PhD students that are doing AI research. So that field is also available to a lot of students, right? So this segment is important because this will lead you to a larger direction of how you want to proceed with your career. A wrong choice made here will have to be sustained over all the years of your career, right? Moving to the next slide. What are the key requirements of the role? Obviously, creativity and common sense. This is truly the most important skill, because when I've met with a lot of professionals, what I have very commonly observed is they know all the tech side of things. They know the programming, they know the coding and all of that. But in most of the cases, they miss the art of practicing data science. They miss the creativity, the common sense applied, right? For example, if you see two numbers, right? There's a lot of people that just present the analysis that this is the bar chart or this is the pie chart. Look at this. This is the number. This is the figure. And then there is the common sense guy, the people with creativity. They will look at the numbers and try to build stories from the numbers. So let's say I work at Flipkart at data science. Let's assume I work at Flipkart as a data scientist. I get a data set. I do some analysis. My job as a data scientist is not to just share the analysis or the PPT with the team. My job is to build a story around the analysis and explain to my team how my analysis is helpful and what are the decisions that the team or the Flipkart as a company can take to bring better business value, right? So our focus is not analysis. Our focus is data-driven decision-making, right? Analysis, plots, models, these all facilitate data-driven decision-making. But the primary objective should be to make right conscious business decisions using data, right? For that, I have to know the business and domain understanding. I have to know the conceptual clarity and risk analysis also. You would very occasionally see on LinkedIn that there was a model that was created. Like, I'll give you a very interesting example. Apple actually paid around $500,000 penalty to a Chinese individual because the Face ID of the Apple platform was not working for that individual, right? The fun fact is the Apple Face ID was asking the Chinese individual to open their eyes, right? But as you know, genetically, Chinese and Japanese men have smaller eyes, right? That's just how they are genetically structured. So Apple, because of that mistake in their model, in their Face ID algorithm, had to actually pay a fine of $500,000, right? Which is close to 3.5 crores, right? So imagine the kind of risk that these models, these professionals from people who are building the models, algorithms, and AI engines have to incorporate because of one product that they build. So it's a big risk business, right? You will need certain kinds of certifications. For example, certification from a course that you're a part of, certification from an institution, from a college, where you can claim that you have done the end-to-end study to be eligible for an entry-level job, right? And obviously, people say that you don't need a bachelor's degree, you don't need a master's, you don't need a PhD, but the reality is at a lot of entry-level jobs, your CV or your resume will be right out rejected if you do not have a bachelor's degree, right? I mean, companies consider that to be a genuine threshold for you to apply to their business, right? Internships of relevant full-time experience, very important. If you could do some internships, paid or unpaid, that are closely related or closely relevant to what you are looking to do. For example, if you would have done a web scraping internship, okay, what is a web scraping internship? Where you are given an internship where you have to go to online websites and build code or write systems that can fetch data from online servers automatically, right? What is the other way to do it? Copy and paste, manual copy and paste, right? Or you can write a Python script that can actually do that automatically, right? So if you've done a web scraping internship, you will be eligible for a lot of other internships and in fact jobs that would require a web scraping specialist, right? Full-time experiences, let's say of the domain. Let's say you are working at a firm they need a data scientist. Their primary job is marketing, right? They do marketing for large companies. So if you have a marketing experience, right, even if it's non-technical, even if it's a non-data scientist role or non-data role, if you've done marketing in the past, the company will expect you to have marketing knowledge, right? And that will add to your eligibility for the role, right? Similarly, the primary knowledges of statistics, mathematics, programming, software applications, theories, frameworks, trends, different solutions, concepts are all a good to have requirements for any kind of data role. Thought process for data-driven decision making. We've already discussed this, but I just want to reiterate because this is very, very critical, very important for getting an eligibility, right? Imagine you getting into a data science interview and the interviewer asking you strange questions. I've had this experience in the past when I've given interviews. Questions like, how many balls can you fit inside an aeroplane, right? How many cups of coffee are consumed by Indians at a daily level, right? How many people would you estimate are traveling in a local train near your area right now? Strange questions, questions that do not have a perfect answer, questions that do not have a known answer, right? But why do they ask these questions? To see if you have the ability or the thought process to solve problems using data, right? You will consider data for the population of India, for the population of your state. You will assume a figure of male and female. You will find a relevant metric for defining what percentage of people drink coffee, what is the price of coffee, how many people can afford a coffee in India, how many retail joints of coffee are available at local areas, right? And that is how you're considering data to give an answer to your problem, right? You must have an eye for analysis, getting the right insights, asking the right questions, and definitely most underrated skill, not just for data science, in all the jobs that are available today, is communication, right? You might have the best possible solution in your head. As long as it is not very well communicated with the leadership, with stakeholders, the decision makers, that idea will never be implemented. And you might be at a huge loss of building a product that would have been otherwise useful, but because of your communication is not useful. Okay, great. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions from the forum? Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Great. Let's proceed to the next slide, which is kickstarting your journey. So the first authentic suggestion I'd like to give you is to get enrolled in a full-fledged program, right? It is possible to be a self-learned data scientist. Okay, Sagar raised a hand. 1 second. Sagar, please proceed with your question. You can type your question. Our team will make sure that the question is communicated with me. Okay, I'll be waiting for your question, Sagar. Just post it and our team will make sure they communicate. AI is of only for computer engineering background. Not exactly, Sagar. A lot of AI scientists I know are from statistical backgrounds, economics backgrounds. A few of them I know from philosophy backgrounds as well, right? That's where the idea of domain expertise kicks in. Suppose I want to build an AI engine for the philosophy domain, right? Yeah, let's assume you're from mechanical engineering background, right? Do you think there is no possibility of you getting into a robotics and AI job? Because robotics is definitely something that you understand a lot because you're from mechanical, right? And let's say robotics is still an advanced field. Let's say building auto-driven cars, right? I mean, Tesla. There is a good chance if you learn AI and you're from a mechanical engineering background, you will be the perfect guy to act as a center point between AI research professionals and mechanical engineering professionals, because you will bridge the gap between their understanding. Are you getting what I'm saying, Sagar? Yeah? Great. So yes, we must get enrolled in a full-fledged program. Why is that? Because a full-fledged program actually takes you from the essentials to the top, right? A lot of times I've seen professionals, they want to be self-learned, right? So what happens is they pick up content from multiple places, something from online, something from YouTube, something from some Coursera course or some, let's say, other places where they find courses, free courses, paid courses and all. What happens is it does not all add up together because they've all not been created in synergy. They've been created by separate individuals who wanted to teach separate things, right? But when you get enrolled in a full-fledged program, the program is designed in a way that when you leave or when you move out of the program, you are a full package for any company, right? So never pick up a program that is just about computer vision, just about natural language processing, just about deep learning, just about machine learning. Don't pick up those individual programs because they will always be missing something, right? A full-fledged program works and is connected. So that's always better. Acquire skills bottom up. This is very, very crucial because you cannot directly go into AI today. It's not going to work out. You're not going to get selected in internships or jobs. It's not going to be possible, right? If you are a computer science engineer who's read about AI in your college and you're applying to a company which is looking for an AI internship or AI professional, yes, there are chances, right? But if you're belonging to some other background, not from a tech background, let's say, or non-tech, not from the computer science or IT background, and you suddenly want to go into AI, just imagine the kind of competition you have to face because there are people who have actually done AI, bachelor's in AI from different colleges, or they have been in the AI field for the last 2 years, right? So there's fierce competition there. So acquiring skills bottom up is essential because let's say you start with Excel, then you do SQL, then you do Python, right? So now you have a software technology like Excel known to you. Then you have a database management where you'll get the data from like SQL. And then you have a programming language which tops everything, right? I mean, a programming language is as comfortable and as flexible it can be, right? So when you acquire skills bottom up, you are prepared while you land at a higher job or at a higher internship. Like when you want to become a machine learning engineer, you might suddenly want to present an analysis to a CEO, right? The CEO does not understand Python. He does not understand data science, but he does understand Excel. So you must have the ability to convert your analysis from the notebook, from the Python code into a Excel sheet, right? That's why acquiring skills bottom up is essential, right? Get comfortable with data. There is categorical data, text data, image data, audio data, voice data, audio data are sometimes separate, but you can consider them the same. There is tabular data, right? All these kinds of different data sets, the sources from which you can get these data sets and their corresponding applications. Just get comfortable of loading data sets and then working with them. Very, very essential, okay? Get fundamentals of the field very clear, like how do you describe a data set, okay? Summarizing data, inferential statistics, how do you infer analysis from the data, hypothesis testing, like all the basic ones, probability, set theory, visualization across platforms. How do you visualize on Excel? How do you visualize on Python, right? How do you get visualizations from online platforms, right? All of those are very important. Go through projects done by other people, read surveys about different fields that are growing, read reports, go through code written by other members so your code quality increases. Look at visualizations performed by others. There's sometimes very interesting visualizations that look very simple, but have a lot of analysis inside them, right? Go through additional topics like web scraping, right? Not directly related to data, but web scraping is also a good skill to have, right? Learn the niche market. By niche, I mean, suppose you want to apply for a finance job, right? It'll be very helpful if you have some knowledge about algorithmic trading, right? Not everyone trying to join finance from the data science sector would have knowledge about algorithmic trading. But if you have some knowledge, you can definitely add that to your resume and it will be a plus when you apply for a job or an internship, right? So the small niches, right? Let's say you have built a credit card fraud detection project, right? Very important. Interview preparations, try to build your strategy of interviews. We'll be discussing, having a webinar about the same tomorrow, but try to build your strategy. So if you're applying for a marketing internship, I mean, marketing data scientist internship, Do not talk about your projects in finance because it's not useful to them. So you have to strategize well of what you include in your resume, because that is what the recruiter will see in you in the first aspect. They'll ask you questions from that. If your resume is completely different from what they're looking for, even if you have the skills to be eligible for the job, you'll never be selected. You'll never be shortlisted, right? And then learn concepts individually, apply them in a diverse way. For example, if you learn machine learning is applicable on a lot of domains, on a lot of different kinds of projects. So when you learn machine learning, do not learn machine learning for finance or healthcare, or let's say any other field, right? For revenue, supply chain, anything. Don't learn for that. Learn the machine learning concept and then apply it to every domain, every project that you find. Okay, that is the truest sense of learning, because now machine learning, like I'll give you a very interesting example. Machine learning is a fancy word for pattern recognition. Okay, a lot of people might not agree to that, but this is the truth. Machine learning is a term that has been coined recently. Earlier, it was pattern recognition, right? And pattern recognition is what the human brain is scheduled to do or is built to do. We all know there is a pattern, right? The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, right? There's a pattern, right? So we've recognized that pattern by the human brain. Machine learning models are trying to recognize patterns from historical data, right? That's it. So always try to simplify and apply diversely. Learn individually, apply in a diverse fashion, right? Follow the genuine channels, GitHub, Kaggle, Stack Overflow, Medium, LinkedIn. Try to get all the professional content that you can from these websites, okay? I'll give you a quick example. Let's go to a website called medium.com. Okay, what is medium.com? It's an online platform where a lot of people write about the things that they are passionate about. If you're passionate about data science, you can go and select data science here. Discover more of what matters to you. If I go to data science and click on it, you'll be able to see turn Google Sheets into your own database with Python. Top mistakes to avoid in your 2022 data science job search. Graph visualization basics with Python. Directed graphs with GraphViz. Regrinding coffee 5 times for espresso. Medical appointments data analysis. All of these topics, right, are interesting and relevant to data science. Okay, you can follow the top people, the top writers. You can follow the top channels that post in data science. And every day, you can make it a habit to read at least 5 to 6 articles online. In a matter of a year, you will be way ahead in the game than others who did not follow this strategy, right? So medium.com is a very, very interesting place to get started with this, right? In fact, I originally started reading Medium content, and eventually I started writing for Medium also. So I have my own Medium page where I have written different things that I like to talk about. For example, Docker, for example, a data science code base, Jupyter books, right? And you can do the same. Start reading first and then start writing, because writing will really help you build your career into it, right? And Medium is luckily paid, so you might also get some amount of money if people view your content, right? The same is applicable for Kaggle, right? Kaggle is the machine learning and data science community hub, right? You can go to datasets to find free datasets, wind turbine power generation data, visa regime of Russia, space news dataset, NASA extravehicular activity. All of these datasets are freely available to you. You can just register on Kaggle, which is free, and download this dataset and play with these datasets the way you like, right? You can also go to the code section. Suppose you find an interesting projects, okay? Let's say energy anomaly detection. You go to this project, you will find a lot of people have written their code and shared with you free of cost. You didn't pay for anything and you are able to view their code. What is the different kind of analysis they have done, what libraries they have used, what algorithms they have used. For example, there's a logistic regression algorithm used here, right? How they've predicted, what is their accuracy, each and every step. Okay, so Kaggle is also a very interesting platform for data science practitioners. Then there is Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is basically where developers, are all the people who are interested in software. They can go to this platform, search about their doubts, answer other people's doubts, and look at all kinds of issues they are getting, right? If you search for Python here as a tag, you will be able to see all kinds of doubt. How to remove duplicate numbers from the parameter list. How to have an incomplete block in Python without error. How to deal with including something in multiple files format in Python. Using bot keyboard in group chat looks like replies. I can't get my variables to be recognized. How do I fix this, right? All the issues that other Python developers have faced, right? You can get all of them together. Okay, 1 second. I think my Google Chrome crashed. Okay, are we clear, guys? Everyone on the platform? Just a quick raise of hands or yes or no would let me know that everyone is clear with that. Sagar, do you still have a question or can I lower your hand? I'm just lowering your hand. If you have a question, you can raise your hand again. Okay, Sagar has a question. Go ahead, Sagar. Let me know what question you have. Sagar, I'll be waiting for your question. Can AI used in mechanical design? Yes, there are cases where AI is being used in mechanical design. In fact, have you heard of 3D printing? 3D printing is a brand new evolving field where you can print in 3 dimensions, right? So a lot of companies are building AI for that as well, right? Whatever, like there's a field in currently being used by AI, very, very interesting. Let me show you. It's called generating images with AI. Okay. If you go to the images section, you will see that these look like true faces, but these are all fake. Okay. There is a particular AI model called GAN, Generative Adversarial Network, that is used to generate images that are not real. These people do not exist. But when you look at them, you can never say that they do not exist. You see the website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, right? It can generate endless fake images, right? Similarly, for a lot of mechanical designs, people are using GANs to build designs for nut bolts, for parts of different appliances, and then use 3D printing to print those parts and see how they look, right? Just imagine if you can let the computer build a beautiful artwork for you or a beautiful showpiece for you, and then you can use 3D printing to just print it, right? That's what AI is doing for you today. Okay, so yes, the answer to your question is yes. Okay. Coming to tools for entry-level jobs, roles, and internships. So for entry-level internships, definitely you will need Excel, you will need SQL, and you will need Python. These are 3 primary requirements in terms of technologies. In terms of theory and knowledge, you must know statistics, basic statistics, probability, set theory, central tendency, mean, median, mode, right? And distribution, frequency distribution, bar chart, histogram, all of those. Right? To get started, right? What does an entry-level role or an internship guy do? They are given data sets to analyze. They are given data sets to generate reports from, and they are expected to automate the process. So, for example, a new data set came from one of my customers, right, or one of our clients. So, an entry-level intern would actually build a report that I have designed. I want a pie chart here. I want a bar graph here. I want the tabular data here. I want the grouping here. I want a pivot table here. So I will design the report and the intern will automate the report, right? So Excel, SQL to fetch the data, Python to program it, automation, Excel conversion of the report. and what charts to add, what diagrams are essential, why is it useful, all of those things, right? Once you get an entry level role, an internship, right, junior data scientist or a data science internship, ML internship, then you go to the next level, right? That is where you start to use enterprise solutions that are specific to a company like Tableau, SAS, ClickView. You're supposed to know about different databases and management systems, MongoDB, GraphQL, Redis, Apache Cassandra, more programming languages. Certain companies have their specific programming languages. Just imagine if Facebook has written all of their code in a particular programming language, and now you join Facebook and you say that, no, I'm not going to code in your programming language. I have my own programming language that I know. I'll code in that. So it's not going to work like that. Okay. I hope I've made myself clear with that as well. So different languages like R, Julia, Java, C++ used, right? Then we go to advanced statistics, univariate, bivariate regression modeling, hypothesis testing, central limit theorem, Bayesian statistics, confidence intervals, linear regression, logistic regression, classification, all of those. Then we focus on machine learning algorithms like decision tree, random forest, XGBoost, different modeling techniques, different processing techniques, different frameworks, right? Different modeling types. Do you want to do supervised learning, unsupervised learning, right? Convergence of data, data manipulation, performance testing, all of these, right? The advanced level. Then cloud deployment, you should know some amount of AWS, Amazon Web Services, some amount of GCP, Google Cloud Platform, Azure via Microsoft, then DigitalOcean, different cloud service providers. Multi-processing tools. Once you are working on a big system, your code has to be much more sophisticated, right? We all know how fast a Google search works, right? We've already done that. Let's say time for search. Let's say I search this, right? I go to all. Have you seen Google shows this? 0.5 seconds to fetch these many results, right? So Google cannot rely on a single machine. Google has to rely on multiple machines set up in multiple places to make sure that its servers are never slow, right? So multi-processing is enabled. Big data technologies are used, right? So Spark, Hadoop, niche tools like web scraping that we just talked about, right? So this is how you go to the next level. So what is a common strategy amongst practitioners of today is they start in an entry-level internship, right? They start at a sometimes unpaid internship, sometimes research internships, sometimes free internship. Like unpaid and free are different because sometimes you might be working on a contract, right? You might even not get an experience letter or an internship letter. That is just purely a learning internship, right? So they start or they get in with Excel, SQL, Python, or some amount of statistics and learning. And then on the job, on the internship, they learn more and more. Okay. I hope we're all clear with this. If there are any questions, let me know. Okay. On your screen is the advantages of having a full-fledged program with great mentors, right? So the first advantage, like I said, is a structured program, right? You start from the basics and you go to the advanced topics. So all the essential and advanced topics are covered. You get fundamental understanding with examples. Your interests are developed. You get to know about different examples, and then you know what is good for you, right? I mean, if I give you examples about data science, AI, machine learning, data engineering, big data development, ML ops development, you will find out what your interests are, right? You get amazing examples of applications, value, business relevance, confidence that you will get in learning because you have a mentor one-on-one, right? And whatever doubts or questions you have, live doubt clearance can happen. You get a lot of practice problems. You get a lot of I would say assignments to solve. So you're very well prepared for the interviews as well, right? The projects are from industry experts. These are real projects, right? These are real business projects. These are not projects that someone has created artificial data for, right? If you get artificial data, your models will be very good. Your job will be very easy. But if you have genuine industry data, then you will actually realize the kind of problems that people in the industry in practice have, right? You have a good peers group and community. You have WhatsApp groups with other learners. They are also applying at jobs. They are also getting jobs. You can get reference from them. You will be in a competitive environment so that you are always thriving to learn more. You'll be sharing your knowledge with other individuals while having discussions, right? And it's also very essential for non-technical background students, because tech background students have learned multiple skills over the years, right? So they know a lot of solutions that are completely a black box for non-tech backgrounds, right? For example, what is a terminal, right? For a person coming from a tech background, a terminal is a very casual or very comfortable thing. They're very comfortable with writing programs or code on terminal. They know what a terminal is, why is it used, how is it used, why is it relevant, what can you do with the terminal, everything, right? But people coming from non-tech backgrounds who have only used software with the system, they do not know what a terminal is. So a full-fledged program with a good mentorship will help you understand those gaps and fill those gaps for you as well, right? And there will be a synergy. So you will not learn something very advanced and then go to something very basic, then learn something intermediate, then go to advanced. It will always be from basic, then intermediate, then advanced. So there will be a very good flow between what you learn, right? Okay. Content, articles, books, videos, and platform. We've already discussed Medium. Medium has a very interesting channel called Towards Data Science. They have like over millions and billions of articles, and you can definitely choose to read more and more about what you want to do. So let's say, Sagar, you want to be an AI professional in mechanical design, right? Let's go online and see AI in mechanical design, right? The role of AI and machine learning in mechanical design. You can see that. Amir, Bharati, Farimani, the intersection of AI and mechanical engineering, right? Can mechanical engineers do AI, right? How can it be used, right? Let's see if I search for a Medium article, right? Let's see, artificial intelligence in mechanical engineering. So this is a live example of what I wanted to share, right? You see, this is actually the Medium platform, right? You can see on the bottom of my screen, left-hand side bottom of my screen, it says https.medium.com. So Towards Data Science, like I mentioned here, is a channel of the Medium platform. And here you can actually read about where artificial intelligence is being applied for mechanical design. You see this? Do you use a bolt, locating pin, washer, or nut? Right? What is the sequence in which you use them? Different methodologies, different images, diagrams, sources of data, everything will be available here. Okay. How do you design this thing? Right? If you want a particular amount of, let's say, heat resistance, you want a particular amount of temperature sensitivity, right? So the previous tools that have been built, they have certain amount of properties, right? Elongation, tensile strength and stuff. Now you can design new things and predict its heat sensitivity, temperature resistance, all of those things, right? So definitely in mechanical design, you can use it. And you could find it on an article. So if you would have read that article, you would be much more informed, right? That's why I'm asking you to go through this. GitHub is a platform to share your code. This is also a very interesting thing. Just imagine you have written a lot of code. Okay, you've done 5 projects, big industry projects. Let's say you've enrolled in a full-fledged program. You've written a lot of code. You've practiced a lot of problems. Now you're applying for a job, right? How can you share 5 projects, all the work you've done, the code you have written, the analysis you've done with the recruiter? Because a resume is usually 1 page or maximum 2 pages, right? So GitHub is the platform where you can share with the world all your code. So let's say I'll give you my example. My GitHub account, if you go to my GitHub account, right, you will see that I have 25 repositories. Okay. I have written code, right? You can see this is my Python code, right? And I have pushed it online. So all I have to do is share my account. If I give you this link, you can access all the code that I have written over the years, right? So GitHub is a very interesting place to look at other people's code, and also store permanently your code so that you can share your code with others, right? Kaggle, we've already discussed. There's a lot of conferences and learning. So if you go to YouTube, let's say, you can actually search for Python conferences. Okay, if you go for Python conferences, you can see EuroPython conference, when Python practices go on, PyCon US 2021, James Powell, so you want to be a Python expert. So you can actually go through these 1 hour, 1.5 hour long lectures from the experienced, talented in the industry using Python or using tools, right? Professionals that have actually shared their content online for free. Data science conferences, right? You can go to international conference on data science, machine learning and applications. Go to data science conferences. Data science, let's say applied data science and machine learning for cybersecurity, right? So you can actually go through all of these videos and learn a lot about your field of interest, right? Stack Overflow, we've already shown. KD Nuggets is another platform just like Medium where you can go and learn about things. There's a lot of interesting YouTube channels. So if you go for different YouTube channel, let's say 3 Blue 1 Brown, very interesting channel, right? In this 3 Blue 1 Brown channel, you can actually go through a lot of playlists that they have, right? Computational thinking, lockdown math, probabilities of probabilities, calculus, neural networks, differential equations, linear algebra, multiple things. Let's say you go to Josh Starmer channel, right? StatQuest is also a very interesting YouTube channel for statistics, right? You can go through histograms, XGBoost, logistic regression, PCA, all the other things, right? So this becomes very interesting for you to do all the sorts of learning that you can do for free online, right? So these are parts where, you know, there are some gaps in your learning, you can use that, right? If you go to LinkedIn, right, a lot of data science practitioners, people like me, are on LinkedIn, right? So what do? We go to LinkedIn and we create posts. We read other people's posts. We follow the influential people in the data science and AI channels, right? And books, definitely very important. There's a lot of knowledge that you can get from books. Suppose you go to Flipkart and you search for data science books, right? So you can actually go through Python data science handbook, data science from scratch, introducing data science, hands-on machine learning, right? Data science and machine learning interview questions using Python, learning to love data science. So many interesting books, right? Starting from statistics, Python, machine learning, AI, Excel, SQL, you'll find great books for them. So just pick up one book and complete that one entire book. It will be very useful for you, right? Now, coming to a very interesting section, which is the reading documentations and finding core areas of application. So what is a documentation? Let me give you an example. So in Python, there is a very popular data analysis library, okay? Python data analysis library. If you search for Python data analysis, you will be quickly moved to the library called Pandas, okay? The Pandas library is universally, I mean, throughout practitioners of Python, regarded as the most important and most relevant library, right? So if you go to this pandas.pydata.org, Pandas is the data analysis library of Python, okay? Now, in every library, for example, this is Pandas. Let's say I go through NumPy docs, okay? So NumPy is another Python library. You can go to NumPy documentation. Let's say TensorFlow documentation. TensorFlow is the AI library, which is built by Google, right? So you can go through the documentation of TensorFlow also. So what are these? Okay, what are these documentations? Just imagine 50 to 100 engineers at Google worked for more than 2 to 3 years to build a package, a library that they have freely shared with the world. They build a library, a package that you can use for free to build your own neural networks, models, machine learning models, etc. Right? Now, the way you can use it, the way you can utilize their work is given by their documentation, right? So if you want the documentation in Python, you can go to the Python documentation and you can see how to use their work. So first you have to install the library. Okay, these are the different modules that will get installed, right? You can see there is the audio module if you want to work with audio visual data, right? Audio module. There is the experimental module, the graph module if you want to work with graphs. There is the Keras module, which is the main API for TensorFlow deep learning, right? All of these, there are different classes that you can use, right? Suppose you want to build a machine learning, build a neural network with TensorFlow. How do you do it, right? So there's all of these code. For example, I go to tf.keras, I go to an overview, right? So this is basically the library of how to use TensorFlow, right? And you will get all sorts of examples. Suppose I go to activations. An activation function is how a neural network learns nonlinear relationships. Okay, you don't have to know what I'm saying, but just think about a new concept that you've learned about deep learning in your course or curriculum. Now you want to explore it more. So you go to TensorFlow, Keras activation documentation, and now you see there are so many functions: deserialized, exponential, linear, ReLU, sigmoid, softmax, softplus. You can actually click on any one of them and you can see how it will be used inside the code, how it can be used separately, right? And all of this you can copy and paste, right? You can view the source on GitHub, the actual code on GitHub, right? You can actually view sessions, which is online videos on how to use it, right? Let's go back to pandas. Suppose I go to the pandas documentation. In the pandas documentation, I can go to, let's say, input and output. How do I get the input of a CSV file into my data frame, right? So if you scroll down, you will see the read CSV function, right? The read CSV function takes the file path, right, which is the file name. And there are so many different customizations or parameters that you can change for efficient, fast, and proper importing of your data, right? So the documentation tells you what are the parameters available, what do these parameters do, how to use these parameters for yourself, right? So reading documentation becomes a very, very essential skill, right? And you will find documentations for all the libraries that you use. Okay, so there's pandas, there's TensorFlow, Matplotlib, which is the visualization library. You should be able to understand the packages, the libraries, the classes, different functions provided, different methods available, all of them, right? Then there's the core areas of application. Do you want to proceed with computer vision? Do you want to do natural language processing? Because they're very, very different from each other, right? A computer vision model is very different than a natural language processing model. Then there's interesting things coming up in the field, reinforcement learning, right? To get you excited, there is a reinforcement learning model, right? If you go to YouTube, you'll be able to see the videos. Let me show you YouTube. Reinforcement learning model that beats the master. Okay, let us go to YouTube. So I don't know if it's not very popular in India. There is a game called Go AI, AlphaGo. So if you go to videos, let me go to YouTube. Okay. So in your free time, just go and watch this video. So what is this video? AlphaGo is a company associated with DeepMind. DeepMind is Google's specific focus on deep learning for the future, right? So AlphaGo is that platform. It is a bot. It is a robot that actually beat the most professional Go player in the world, right? So imagine chess, the best chess player in the world playing with a computer, and the computer beating that chess player, right? So in cases like those, you will see that this is the Go game, where the computer played against an actual human who was the most talented person in that game, and the computer managed to beat the human being, right? And that is where it makes very interesting for you to know reinforcement learning, because in reinforcement learning, you learn by the actions and rewards. It's a field where it's very aligned with the human mind, right? So the first time we did something dangerous, we understood that there is danger in doing things, right? For example, we don't go near fire because we feel the heat, right? But the first time we did not know how fire or heat feels like, we were actually going towards the heat, right? As children, we learned by taking some action, understanding the goodness or badness of those actions, and then making sure we do more of the good actions and less of the bad actions, right? So that is the entire concept of reinforcement. It reinforces the good or bad things and makes you take different actions, right? So that's also a very interesting field that's coming up. And finally, I would like to end this webinar with a very, very, I would say, personal suggestion that I have for you, and that is to build your own brand. Okay, building your own brand is very, very important. You should write articles. You should summarize things. You should talk about the latest developments in the technology in the field. You should talk about the projects you've done. You should talk about the analysis you've done. You should talk about the jobs you're doing, how you are building something, what a product you're building, how is it impacting the society, how is it impacting your customers. All of that helps you build your own brand as an individual, as a professional, with respect to all the people who are practicing that field, right? So how do you become an exceptional data scientist if your name is known to all the other data scientists, right? That is very, very crucial. So you should be regularly sharing content, your learnings, documents that you are building, summaries of analysis, projects that you're doing, work that you have done, certificates that you have achieved, other achievements in competitions that you participated, all of those, right? Talk about how the industry is moving, talk about latest technologies, research papers. It really creates the value for you as an individual to be passionate about the field, right? And that is going to summarize the entire conversation we are having today. So that was it. I would appreciate and love to answer any questions that you guys have before we end the webinar. Any questions, anyone, do let me know. I'll be happy to answer. That is the end of this webinar. Great. If there are no questions, I will take your leave. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much.